Welcome back. Well, you're still watching SA Today. Now, this week marks the National Archives Awareness Week. It's a week that is celebrated annually to promote the importance of good record-keeping practices and to engage communities around the importance of archives in the preservation of societal memory. Now, this year, the week is celebrated under the theme 100 Years of Archival Legislation in South Africa. The year's theme aims to highlight the strides made by memory institutions in preserving documentary heritage. But for more on this, we are now joined via Zoom by the Deputy Minister for Sports, Arts and Culture, Nocawe Mafu. Deputy Minister, a good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Just for the average South African, why is this an important week for us to observe document keeping in South Africa?
Thank you very much, Naledi, and good afternoon to the viewers at home. Of course, you've put it so nicely, Naledi. This is the National Awareness Week for the Archives, a very important week for South Africans to always remember that record keeping and preserving of records is very critical for the history of the country, because at the end of the day, what we know now about our history, we wouldn't have known if people before us did not keep that record or those archives. So the history of a country, where we are going and where we are, becomes very critical. And it also helps because at the end of the day, even when we are no longer here, but that we had done, those that come after us would be able to read and know about it because we had kept records of it.
Yeah.
And of course, this Yes.
No,
yes,
you can finish that thought, Deputy Minister. I was actually going to add to that question and just essentially ask how South Africa actually rates itself with our capabilities of archiving.
Okay, thank you so much. You know, South Africa, well, the history of archives now, we are celebrating 100 years of it. Of course, it has not been always smooth sailing. We know where we are coming from historically. We also know that some of our own history had not been archived as it should have been. But of course, the Act in 1996, which came into being, which in essence was meant to transform how we archive the work in the country, has gone a long way in making sure that that has improved. And the fact that provinces themselves, the Act is allowing them to be able to keep and archive the work at provincial level, also assist to make sure that there is decentralization of this work. And of course, right now, we are also making sure that municipalities at local level also have got archival offices where they are able to archive work at the municipal level, so that at the end of the day, the issue of archives become everybody's responsibility wherever they are. So that's where we are right now, Lalit.
You know, the thing about archiving is that you talk about archiving at a municipal level, and that, of course, is about record keeping. But, you know, there's the bigger discussion around what archiving really can do for a nation, especially one that at times feels so fragmented. Does archiving have a role to play in nation building?
Definitely, yes. Archives have got a big role to play in nation building because once we are able to archive correctly all the history of the country from all corners, regardless of race, religion, or creed, that everybody is able to get into the information and read about what happened in the corner of the Eastern Cape, in the corner of Northern Cape, in the corner of Northwest. No, we are not only going to be able to read about what happened in Western Cape at the time. We not only read about the Dutch East India Company, but we also read about what happened to Palo, to Nsikane, to Nkosi Mampuru and all that. So it does help, because then if archiving is done in such a way that every other person in the country knows that we are as important as the next person.
Yeah.
And it also builds social cohesion and makes sure that everybody knows that we are catered in there. That's very critical.
Yeah, and when you talk about that catering in our history and in our archiving, at some point we need to have the discussion around access, right? Whether or not South Africans are able to access that information.
Yes, Naledi, and we also need to start talking about digitizing that information. We saw what happened in the National Parliament, where fire gutted that parliament. So as we talk archives, we must also start thinking, how do we make sure that we digitize that work so that the work becomes preserved in such a way that even in the face of the disasters, you are still able to access that information.
Yeah. And just lastly, before I let you go, Deputy Minister, will you take us through the program for the week?
Yes, we started on Monday because the International Archives Day is tomorrow, the 9th of June. But then in the country, we always make sure that we do the whole week so that we are able to allow even learners from the neighboring schools in the province that we are in to participate and have the opportunity to really be part of this, because it's a very important week. So on Monday, we opened, obviously, the week, and we also had a book launch in the evening of Monday. And then yesterday, there was a discussion. The other beautiful thing about this program is that there will also be a slot where we are talking about the Bishop massacre, which happened in the Eastern Cape, because we are in Eastern Cape. So it's a very important thing, because 100 years also interfaces with the John Knox Bokwe, who died in 1922. So it's his centenary now. So we also had an opportunity then to get the history of John Knox Bokwe and what role he played. We know he was a journalist, he was a priest, but also he was somebody who played a critical role in making sure that information was kept and shared. So we had that opportunity as well to get that history of John Knox Bokwe.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful week. It's a week where you are able to actually learn things that you didn't even think that you would have the opportunity to. So that's the essence of the week of the archives, to be able to interface with the history of the country and learn more and be able to immerse yourself in the knowledge that is there.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like an interesting week, Deputy Minister. Thank you so much for giving us your time. We do appreciate it. That there, the Deputy Minister for the Department of Arts and Culture, Deputy Minister Nocawe Mafu.